right, everyone. Welcome to the latest Skills Summit. Oh, it's not the Skills Summit. Okay, the latest official event that the Skilled Workforce Development Team of the ARDC are running. My name is Liz Stokes, and I'm going to be hosting this forum today. I like to acknowledge that I'm meeting you on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to elders past and present. If you would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where you're meeting, please do this in the chat. And I'm pretty excited to welcome you to our forum to have a chat and reflection on what was the Digital Research Skills Summit that we held in Brisbane last month. So, how are people today? I wonder. Okay. Can you see that screen fairly clearly behind me? Is that all right? Looks okay. Oh no, probably not, because
you're on the side.
You're in the
front
front,
of
Liz.
the
You're in front of the words.
That's good. Did you know how I sneakily used that to hear how I could hear everyone else? Okay, so welcome. I will change my viewing options in momentarily when I work out how I can do that. And meanwhile, let's make it side by side. How about that? That's probably a little better, but I think that it is hard to see those questions. So let's just stay like that.
Liz, you're still in front of it.
Oh, it hasn't
Now
changed
it's gone.
because I didn't say
Now it
I
has.
was doing. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, thank you for patiently listening to me as I talk aloud. Where's the full screen? Full screen, show me. There we go. Okay, cool. Let me come back to, I feel like I'm on the wrong page. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Okay, right. So that's right. We have a whole slide deck, and I usually run you through these things. So we've acknowledged country. We are recording this, and I encourage you to keep your videos on. We also have a code of conduct. So we want to make this a friendly and comfortable space for you. And I know recording doesn't always make that so. So perhaps you would prefer to keep your camera off. That's totally okay. Follow this link here, which will appear in the chat if you feel you would like to ask or report anything about the code of conduct today. So the purpose of these forums is for people across the training community to stay in touch between our annual Skills Summit events. And we hope to create an open assembly of skills practitioners who are having a public conversation, because we realise that it's important to have a larger presence for people who are training our researchers into the kind of infrastructure that we, in the training researchers in the skills, to use the infrastructure that we support. It's a monthly meetup, and hopefully we'll share the recording in a couple of days. So today, while we're talking about the Skills Summit, I want you to think about ways that you might facilitate knowledge between each other, ways you might want to point to cool things in terms of digital research skills development that you are doing or you've seen. And please feel free to share any resources and best or even good enough practices in the chat with each other. So on to our topic for today. Elodie, you have a hand raised. I apologise.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to just attend this workshop or online meeting. It was great. It was the ARDC week was amazing. Attending the wonderful Indigenous Datathon. It was wonderful. May I make just a suggestion? I left the higher education sector for obvious reasons, and I'm very happy about it. Um, in a time of disruption where researchers would like to transition to the industry, may I just suggest that that kind of wonderful resources should target larger than researchers in the higher education sector, but should also include the industry in different areas, including public health and urban planning and all those matters that relate to the ecological transition. And because the work that is currently being done is amazing. And I think that that would benefit people in the broader community than those in the higher education sector. That would really, really benefit the larger community because you're doing a wonderful job.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thanks for your
welcome.
contribution, Elodie. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
I'm lobbying a bit.
I see, I see. Sounds like you'll have a great contender for the something else in our breakout room session later on. So thank you for that. I will keep an eye on the chat, and feel free to respond to Nat's question about the reasons that you left higher ed. That can be a side chat while we progress with our official thing today. Right. So, I am missing a kind of a slide that says what's going to happen today. What I would like to do now for the next 20 minutes or so is to address some of the questions that people raised as you registered for today's forum. And I think that will generate more discussion as we get into and we encourage your reflections on the Skills Summit that we had a month ago. Then I'll fast forward to breakout groups. So probably keep an eye on the time, yeah, probably around 1:30 if you're in the eastern states. I'd like to move into some specific breakout groups because we had a few. These are the titles of our special interest groups that we ran at the end of our Skills Summit. And these are topics of conversation that I think people probably would like to get into a bit more discussion around. I'll give you a short description of each of those, and then throughout our discussion and question and answering session, we can kind of hopefully unpack that a little more. So the first one, the National Network Trainer Meetup, is an idea that Roland Mossbergen from WeHi and myself have been discussing in various ways and pathways throughout this year. So it's a little bit of thinking about how hacky hours work and considering what it might take to run a more open version of a hacky hour beyond institutional constraints. And also the idea of running a quarterly meetup of trainers throughout next year, which would serve as a complementary program to these recorded skills forums. The second topic if you are interested in hacky hours or trainer practitioner meetups, that will be the group to get into there. The second topic is around skills calendar and major events next year. So if you have a burning desire to talk about events that should be on all trainers' calendars, and that could even include the Skills Summit this year, head into that breakout. Another really, in fact, our most popular workshop and indeed special interest group were the ones on trainers using and teaching AI skills that our colleagues at Sydney Informatics Hub and Google ran. So Nate, hello, and Daria, hello, ran these along with Angus and Rose Mitchell there. So if you would like to speak more specifically about how to and what to teach researchers around AI skills, that's the topic there. And if you are undecided or there's something else you would like, please put that into the chat. We will hold a breakout room for, something else, and that will be the miscellaneous category that you get to sort out with your peers who also join. However, throughout our discussion, if people have ideas about another specific kind of group that you would like, please put that in the chat so we're aware of that and I can add another breakout room to the list that I have prepared earlier. Okay, so let's come back to this discussion around the forum. Okay, and so thank you, Elodie, for your response there. So I'm going to use this, the order of this list to go through the discussion. So please feel free to chime in here and let's go into the first topic, which is this feasibility of a coordinated online hacky hour. Roland, I think this might be a good moment for me to ask you to take the floor and unpack this, why this would be a good or interesting thing to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks. So to give you a background, I have an internship program that's 100% online. I get anywhere from 20 to 48 interns per intake that I'm supervising or co-supervising. And I deliberately, and possibly we're recording this, right? I deliberately don't tell them what to do because I feel that critical thinking is actually really important for these. These are usually undergrads or masters, but sometimes we get professional staff too who want to move over and do some things. To help facilitate them asking questions, because I'm not telling them what to do, I run the equivalent of a hacky hour twice a day, every day, except for Fridays. Currently, I'm doing it at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. because we've got people in Europe and Africa, so it's there to accommodate their time zones. And I couldn't help but think that a lot of the time when we're doing these hacky hours, we are not solving their problem fully. We're giving them some pointers to where they need to go to get more detailed things. Sometimes they get stuck. Sometimes they need to have someone as a sounding board. Sometimes they don't know the language that they need to be able to do that. So a lot of the things were almost like can't think of another word, but we're almost like air traffic controllers telling people which way to go, but we're not actually going into that too much detail unless they really need a lot of help. And I thought that there's potentially a way of being able to do this across institutions so that we could help each other. So say someone, if you're in a small institution, a regional university, and you've got one person who's already busy, then if they were to give us some materials that, hey, okay, these are some of the things that we do offer, if someone comes to that from that university, we would know where to look and suggest some things and the right person to connect to. So there's just ways I think that we could work effectively and efficiently without too much bureaucracy. You're muted, Liz.
Yes, November, several years after the pandemic and still. There's a question in the chat from Kit about what is the internship in, if you could just give a brief context sentence or two.
Yeah, it's basically working on complex projects. Usually it's either the research software support, or they're very, very ambiguous. But mainly it's relatively complex projects.
Right.
Digital,
And so,
sort of digital skills, research software, system administration, AI, large language models, visualization. There's a range of them.
right. Okay. Comment from Nat. Would you like to speak to this?
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, so internally at Google, I also tried to externalize a institution agnostic hacky hour, but I just couldn't find the mentors internally. But if there were cross institutional mentors, I'm sure I could pull more people in from my organization as well, and hopefully solve or help solve cross institutional problems. So yes, count me as interested.
Yeah, sounds really good. Cool. Okay. Okay. And I think that's probably a good good description of where that discussion might go into the breakout. Let's move through the rest of these other ones, so we've got time to do that. So the second question seems a bit tricky, so I'm going to ask people for help interpreting this. How does the trainer network plan to integrate critical reasoning models into its activities planned for 2026? Now, I'm not sure if I do try to make these questions anonymous. There is an option if you ask this question to speak to it if you would like to. However, even if that's not you, if you have an idea of whether this resonates with you, please talk to me about it. Well, talk to us. And well, maybe I can make it a little more open. Are critical reasoning models something that is important to you, or as a trainer? Speaking from your experience. My gut feeling is that this might be something coming in if you were tasked with teaching people how to use or incorporate a large language model in the training content. Angus, I think your question in the chat, your response in the chat is a good response. So how about you unmute?
Oh dear, I was hoping somebody else would come in and answer this question. Yeah, it's a very interesting point of the way the way that's phrased there of integrating critical reasoning models. And so there are, yeah, as I'm sure everyone who came along, I think there are huge opportunities for AI and the reasoning models and being very critical of the reasoning models and how to the way I read this, I'm pontificating, excuse me, and I'm just word salad is coming out of my mouth. But the way I read this is it's about how can we integrate the kind of AI models that we can use with our skills training in ways that actually we're critical of the outputs that they are, and that we're using it to help support cognition, support people thinking rather than just offloading. That's how I read that. Does that make sense? Are there any issues with that? Yeah, I think it's a very good question. And if I think you had the answer to that question, then we'd all be much happier. I'm very happy to. I think that's a great thing to talk about in the breakout room as well. Good.
So would you like to take that into the AI skills?
I think so. I think that's the place to talk about that.
Yeah, good. Okay. Number 3, one of my favorites, which is a comment and not a question. Unsure, happy to attend and observe, learn. Even if you didn't contribute this response, you are not alone, and that is a lot of our audience here today. A lot of our community are here, sometimes simply curious to see what people are talking about, and you are so welcome. Okay, let's have a look at these questions. This was a twofer about AI skills training. So what affordable AI skills training can be organised on the weekends for research professionals who have left the higher education sector? And, oh, Elodie, was this your question? And B, what specific skill set can be developed for lawyers? Another very interesting, highly specific question itself. Is this something that, are these pairs of questions something that this community would like to take further today? Or tell me, does this resonate with anyone? Perhaps someone who hasn't joined our conversation yet. And well, I'm very comfortable to wait in the awkward silences while people consider whether that's something you'd like to take up. Otherwise, maybe I will simply ask for a show of hands using the what are the buttons? Using the reaction button to tell me whether this is something that you also are interested in. So.
I can talk about it.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Raj, and I'm working as a support kind of go-to person for e-commerce project. And it's kind of integrated like some portions of my work, not entirely support, but yeah, I have to cover those things. So I try to optimize my workflows and, try to set some automation systems to just cover up a lot of things which I can just save time on. So I think building some of those AI automation skills can kind of increase your workflow or fasten the process for content writing and things like that. So I think would be pretty nice to see what the wide community is using, and also how the credibility going for those models, and what are the preference options and things like that. So I was waiting for the question 5, but nobody was jumping in, so I just jumped in for the 4. All good.
How very good. Great. Well done. Look, we can lead from any level, and we can also chair from any level. So thanks, Raj. I really appreciate that. Whoop. Yeah. I think this is worthwhile to move here. And number 5 is an interesting question. What should I give to this community? What can I get in terms of that wider computational skills training? Similarly to how Raj has talked about his project, what he's thinking about, does this reflect the general you here, situation? What kinds of things would you like to be involved in with this community?
I think I posted this question.
Thanks, Nat.
I'm happy to open the floor.
Good.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was at Sydney Uni, we had a mandate. We wanted to service Sydney University members and make them publish papers better and faster. And now I'm in industry, and Google wants us to help universities and researchers publish good stuff and use their tooling and use their products, and eventually like buy their amazing products. And so I guess we're all motivated by sort of our own job descriptions to enable what we can actually give. So what our personal motivations are, and our occupational motivations are. But then, yeah, I was trying to think like, that's probably what's motivating us. But then, and what can you get in return as well? So you want to give something a little bit beyond that, perhaps, like get out of our silos. Maybe the ARDC, this is a good position for them to do things like national hacky hours and these skill summits, which are, you know, again, agnostic to institutions and everything. So yeah, that was just my thoughts on this.
Yeah, thank you, Nat. Do you know what? I think actually these kind of questions will come up in both the National Trainer Network Meetup breakout room, as well as the AI discussion. In fact, probably it will come up in also the events one potentially as well. What is the point of coming together as a kind of community of practice? And I think there is some thinking that I've been doing these last couple of weeks as I've been talking to people at the Australian Data Science Network conference, and conversations that started at the Skills Summit, especially when we were talking about what is it that supports trainers and in their ability to engage people, engage their learner audience. And I think that I've come to the conclusion that when we talk about communities, we really need to focus on, similar to what Melissa has mentioned in the chat, who is in the community and what are its goals. Our focus needs to be on what is the practice that we intend to be facilitating in this community, and what are those things that will really help us facilitate that practice. So it's not about whether or not we can call ourselves a community of practice, or whether or not we have someone who's going to book the meetings and make us turn up and do that sort of meeting administration. I would encourage people to think of ways that might really facilitate, or kinds of interactions that would facilitate the practice of training people towards the goals or things that we want to create. Sometimes it's quite hard, actually, when we talk about something so abstract as the training community, because all of us have very different domain expertise, and often our training does happen in those very, very specific sort of circumstances. So sometimes this forum is necessarily more general and abstract than actually the kind of practices that we are all engaged in. So yeah, it's a really interesting question to bring up. So keeping an eye on the time. The last question, when is the 2026 Skills Summit and where? Excellent question. We haven't decided yet, but I am looking very seriously at Sydney because that's where I live. And actually it was someone else's idea, not my own. But I really like it. And I was also encouraged to think about it as a standalone kind of event. So I'm thinking about something that would happen in the middle of the year, sort of, you know, between the semesters, or roughly around any other conferences, or because they always tend to happen either in the middle of the year or now. I'm joining you from Amos, actually, the Meta Scientists conference. Fascinating. So that's where we are at the moment. If you are interested in being involved, or in terms of getting direction about that, we've certainly asked that question. We've got some keen responses, and I think some of you are here today keen to participate in that too. So please know that you're welcome. And that's where we're at with those decisions right now. So now that it is breakout room time, I'm going to see if I can find my breakout rooms and then open them for everyone. Yes. We will go into the breakout rooms. We'll be in them for 20 minutes. Please choose among yourselves a chair facilitator and a note taker. Use the chat. And then prepare to bring something back at 10 minutes to the hour, or what is it? It must be 20 minutes past the hour, depending on where you are. I will give you the names of the breakout rooms again before you go into them.
Liz, has a question, as a hand raised.
Yes, Melissa.
What's the goal for the breakout rooms? What are we aiming to achieve today?
Well, it is to talk about those topics. So for the National Network trainer meetings, it is to decide whether there is interest in joining a national hacky hour, right? And discuss a quarterly trainer meetup. For those in the skills calendar and major events who have attitudes about what events should not we be at, or need the trainer community should be aware of, that's the space for you. If you are enthusiastic about using and teaching AI skills, that topic, the goal there is to work out, should that be a topic that this community here does something about, and what are the important things there? And then we have a miscellaneous one, something else. So that will be whatever it is that you think is important to be on our agenda. So yes, Miriam, in your question, is it possible to go in and out of the breakout rooms so you can join multiple sessions? Certainly. Maybe the conversation goes somewhere in 5 minutes that you're not particularly interested in. You can always come back to the main room and head into another room. Yeah, and yes, all of these topics are highly relevant, and that is the joy of concurrent sessions, right? It's where we can trust our peers to continue the conversation and to know that we can come back and hear where they went, and we are the richer for it. So I'm going to open them all now and see you in 20 minutes. We've got about 46 seconds for Roland to say your controversial thing.
Oh, I thought it was going to be for next time. Usually,
yeah, it can be.
When you're doing these sort of things, I was wondering if there was like a previous survey or something else like that where we had the top 3 problems that we're facing as trainers that are sort of specific or whatever, that we would then sort of hone in on. Because you're kind of doing it very gently through here, but I just wondered if there was actually a clear cut, these are the problems that we're having, and then you can sort of tie it together.
That's something that has been, sorry, Liz, discussed out.
No, you go.
Not this year's skills summits, but previous ones. So there would be a starting point for that.
Because that idea boards thing is really cool. I used it with the interns, and it was great to amalgamate ideas in a really fast, informal way.
Nice. Yeah, I really like, I enjoy idea boards for that specifically. Although it's difficult, you can't tinker with them once you've done it. So you have to trust in the process that you're working with. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming back from your breakout rooms. Let's hear where you got to. How about we hear from the AI skills group? And you'll have to unmute, Angus.
I've got a switch on my microphone, so I muted the switch, but I didn't do Zoom. We talked about some of the challenges, but the two kind of things that we seem to agree on is, number one, being very clear when we're talking about training is what kind of AI training are we doing? Are we talking about generative AI workflow based training, or are we talking about kind of advanced AI and research building models to do specific things? Because those are very different tasks, and that there seems to be lots of overlap. People talk about AI for research, and they're talking about both of those things, and they're very different things that you're trying to train people for. We're saying you don't want somebody to come along to a workshop and expecting to be taught how to write a paper with AI, and somebody says, right, well, if you get out Python and download PyTorch and something like that, that's just expectations mismatch. And the second thing was, it seems like the real challenge going forward is how to, for the workflow specifically, how to get AI based tools to help support your thinking rather than doing the thinking for you. And that's a challenge that everyone's dealing with at the moment, and who's trying to use AI in education, skills training, anything like that. And some kind of opportunity to share strategies, how well it worked, what we've tried, would be really, really useful for the kind of national skills community when thinking about AI training.
Okay.
Do you mean for
like
trainers to swap ideas, or do you mean for researchers to swap ideas?
For the trainers to swap ideas about the things they've tried in their training, and how we can work with that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that sounds like a practical suggestion for example, these particular forums next year, and AI strategies for teaching specific AI and the thinking. That sounds good. Thanks, Angus. Okay. Next, I'm going to ask skills calendar and major events. Where did you get to in that discussion?
Hello. I think we're pretty happy to see the Skills Summit return to a middle year program, so that we get about a 6-month cadence between e-research. So happy for our May date for that, and that the date be confirmed as soon as possible so that people can be released from their various tasks, as well as not planning training sessions on the date that the Skills Summit is on, which I think might have occurred in the past. And also that it's multi-day, so that you get the 2 days. A leadership session is also really important, like we had in Melbourne when we had the panel, just to get the visibility of all of us as a community, that we exist as a thing for people who have, strings that are attached to bags of money. But, I think that was a really informative session that we had that year in Melbourne. Also, I think there was a bit of a struggle to attend different things when it was a shorter program. So to have fewer streams so that we can all actually attend the things that we want to do. I mean, stream free would be amazing, like one stream, but that might be a little too limited. So, but perhaps 2 streams max. And then we were talking about the Skills Forum things, and a monthly catch up might be too often if it's a required thing. But if they're kind of planned with a theme, then people can pick and choose what they're going to come to, and it's not seen as I have to go to every single one. Otherwise, if it's let's get all the community together quarterly, it's plenty.
Well, that is a really nice seg into the discussion where we got to at National Network trainer meetings. Roland or Melissa, how would you characterize our discussion?
Well, the discussion about that part was very brief, like 2 minutes brief. But I think in general, there's interest in trainers being able to swap ideas and skills in some kind of forum, whether it's a totally separate event or gets rolled into this or something else, is something that needs to be discussed further. Anybody else in that group want to add to that?
No, all good.
Oh, okay. Well, it is 1 o'clock. So thank you all for your participation in today. And I hope to see you at our next forum. Oh, let me go back to our official, where's the train? Share my screen. What do we got? It's, I don't know where it is. In any minute now, Kit will share the feedback survey for today and something. Oh, those are the slides. F. And our next session will be Key Moments in 2025 Digital Research Skills on the 10th of December at 12 o'clock AST. So sorry, my small computer is not dealing too well, but Kit's got all of the information there for you in the chat. So yeah, look, we will continue the conversation about open hacky hours, about the skills that we want to share with our learners, and also those ones about supporting trainers more practically.